Hello, friends. Today I'm going to be telling you a glorious story of a magnificent place that is no more. And the only thing that it reminds me of is seeing Dresden in Germany. Dresden was called the Florence of the Elbe, and it was one of the most beautiful places in Europe, but it was completely bombed and destroyed in World War II. I will say I can understand the justification for doing that because there had to be taken some really very radical steps to stop Germany. But through the tenacity of the East German people, they completely rebuilt it back the way that it was. It's absolutely beautiful. That cannot happen with what happened in Ravenna Park in Seattle, because it would take 1,000 years and the luck of nature to create what was there. Back in the late 1800s, William and Louise Beck bought some land in Seattle that was near where the Husky Stadium is now, and it went all the way north up through a deep 100-foot deep ravine. And in this ravine was some really extraordinary stuff. Somebody who saw this area said of it that it was like the natural wonders such as Niagara Falls, Yosemite, and the Grand Canyon. Ravenna Park offered a pilgrimage to the sublime, the contemplative, the spiritual, and the terrifying. That's quite a statement, but I think it was justified after you hear what was in there. You would walk into the park, and there were quite a number of trees that were not that fat. There were 3 to 4 foot Douglas firs, but they were all 300 feet in height. Today there are less than 30 Douglas firs that are 30 feet in height in existence. And then you walk past that and there was this beautiful pond, and that pond fed over 30 springs that were just magical, including one that was a yellow sulfur spring that was the only one in all of the Seattle area. As you went past that, you went into the grove of the true great trees. If this grove was in existence today, it would be the greatest grove of trees in the Northwest. It had extraordinary trees that the Becks named after very famous people. The largest tree was named after Teddy Roosevelt, and he actually came and visited this tree. It was considered the greatest natural wonder in the Seattle area. It was 270 feet tall, originally much, much taller, and was 14 and a half feet in diameter. If this tree was in existence today, it would be bigger than the Red Creek fir, which is the largest Douglas fir in the world now, and that's up in Vancouver Island. The other tree that I want to mention was the Robert E. Lee tree, which I am certain, if it was still around in Seattle today, would be renamed because of liberal Seattle. I can understand that. It was almost 400 feet tall. It was taller than the Mineral Creek fir, which was at Mount Rainier, which I've talked about in another speech. It was taller than any of the redwoods that are around today. So just with these two trees, it would have the largest Douglas fir in the world and the tallest tree in the world. And then there were other trees that were named after musicians and politicians that were also really large. The Becks tried to sell this to the city because they thought it would be the best way to try to preserve it, because they wanted to save this. The only reason why these trees were saved was because the ravine was so steep that it would not have allowed the lumberjacks to get in there and to take these trees out. Well, the city of Seattle ended up condemning this land, buying it for around $150,000. In those days, on a public property like that, you couldn't just cut down a tree unless it was supposedly a tree that was rotten and it was a public endangerment. And the head of the University of Washington Forestry Unit investigated these trees and found they were all very sound, but within 2 or 3 years of the city taking these over, not only did it cut down all of the main trees, it drained that pond, there were no more springs, it just ruined this whole area. And I mean, yes, you might could have built a school for that, but think of what today we could be benefiting from having such magnificent trees. There was no foresight, there was no appreciation of the extraordinary gift of nature that we had. It took me quite a long time to get over the bitterness about that. But now I can walk through Ravenna Park and enjoy the magic of it and wonder at these owls that are very tame there that will sit there and look at you when you walk by. It's actually really nice, but it's not what it was. But I think it's a very interesting history, and I will be sharing with you some pictures from old postcards from the Big Tree Park, which was what the Becks called it, and you can get an idea of how magical this place must have been.